What's good, y'all? So in case you guys missed it, a few days ago, the Sacramento Kings fired their head coach, Mike Brown. Mike Brown won unanimous Coach of the Year just 2 seasons ago after snapping the Sacramento Kings' 17-year playoff drought. He got them to the playoffs, got them playing a competitive level of basketball again. And now, just a short 2 years later, he is already fired mid-season, not even mid-season, early in the season. It's only December now, and he's out of there. And by the title and the thumbnail, you guys know in this video, we're going over some De'Aaron Fox mock trades. But before I get into all of that, I do want to just talk a little bit about the Kings firing Mike Brown. They missed the playoffs last year after being a play-in team, and this offseason they went out and traded for DeMar DeRozan. That was their big move to really kind of put him over the top. It didn't do that. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I thought the fit was weird. I thought talent-wise they might be able to be solid, but it wasn't like the move that they needed to do to put them on that next tier of teams. Now we're a few months into the season, and yeah, they are pretty disappointing. They're outside of the play-in tournament right now in a super loaded Western Conference, and then they just fired Mike Brown because of that disappointment. I don't think that's the right move. I know that there was reports coming out now that they tried to make a few trades. They talked to the Bulls about Zach LaVine, inquired about Cam Thomas, Kyle Kuzma, a few other guys there. Nothing really materialized. So they just were like, yeah, let's fire our head coach now. I don't know, it really just doesn't sit right with me. I feel like Mike Brown should have at least been able to coach the rest of the season and then get fired if they didn't really want to keep going with him. Definitely should have been in person and not the phone call that it was. I really think Sacramento dropped the ball on this one. Not even just the fact that they fired Mike Brown, but definitely in the way that they fired Mike Brown. I think it was very disrespectful. And between the disappointing start in Sacramento, the firing of Mike Brown, and the fact that De'Aaron Fox has a player option that he can decline to become an unrestricted free agent after this season, I decided there's a good chance that De'Aaron Fox might get traded. So in this video, I made some mock trades to figure out where De'Aaron could potentially go. There's some highly rumored teams on here, and then there's also one team that I just kind of slipped in that I think could be a good candidate. But without further ado, let's take a look at the first mock trade. This first one would have De'Aaron Fox and Kevin Huerter going over to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Fred VanVleet, Reed Sheppard, Cam Whitmore, a 2025 first-round pick, a 2027 first-round pick, and another 2027 first-round pick from Phoenix. The Rockets are one of the most rumored teams to be involved in a De'Aaron Fox trade because they definitely have the assets to do it. And also, they kind of made a big surprising jump this season to be one of the top teams in the West, even though they are so young. Their defense is really what they rely on, but offensively, they definitely do struggle. So having a guy like De'Aaron coming in, being that go-to guy, run the offense through him, whether that's his playmaking or his scoring, definitely would be very beneficial for the Rockets. And then also just kind of play style wise, I think he fits well because he plays fast, and so do the Rockets. He's super athletic, and he's not like a crazy defender, but with his athleticism, and if he buys in, he definitely could be a plus defender. So I think he would fit perfectly over here in Houston. And then when you look at what the Rockets are giving up, it's really not much because they have so many assets. The main salary filler here is Fred VanVleet. He has a team option, I believe, at the end of this year, so the Kings, if they want, can just wipe their hands from him, or they can keep him on the team to kind of be one of their main offensive guards on their roster. Either way, though, he makes it really easy to make the money match for this one. And then the Houston Rockets get to throw in two of their young guys that really aren't playing too much for them. Reed Sheppard was the 3rd overall pick this season, and because the Rockets had this surprising jump and they are so competitive, he really hasn't had a solidified, carved-out role for him. But if Sacramento ends up trading De'Aaron, I think they would want some of these young guys on their team to kind of just open up and help them grow their game. I think Reed Sheppard, he was the 3rd overall pick for a reason. He has a lot of potential there, so I like him going over to Sacramento. And then also kind of similar with Cam Whitmore. He has shown a lot of flashes in his rookie season. Looks like he could be a really athletic scorer in this NBA. And he's kind of fallen out of the rotation in Houston as well, so moving over to Sacramento would give him a fresh start. And then the draft capital, again, is really not much. I could see Sacramento really pushing hard to try to get one of the more important young pieces, I guess you could say, of Houston. Guys like a Jabari Smith Jr. or maybe a Tari Eason. They could try to inquire about Amen Thompson, but I doubt the Rockets would ever consider including him in this deal. And then also in this trade, the Rockets would be getting Kevin Huerter, who's having a very down season right now. but in his career has been a very good three-point shooter, and that's been one of the biggest struggles for the Houston Rockets. So I like both the guys that they're bringing in this trade package, and I really don't think they're giving up too much. I'm sure as a Rockets fan, it probably sucks to see some of your young guys go, but at the end of the day, you're trying to compete right now. We're staying in Texas for this next trade, moving over to San Antonio. In this one, the Kings are giving up De'Aaron Fox, Trey Lyles, and Alex Len in exchange for Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, and Zach Collins, along with a 2025 first-round pick from the Hawks, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2028 first-round pick, and a 2031 first-round swap that is their own. The Spurs are another team that are rumored to be highly interested in De'Aaron Fox, and honestly, I would absolutely love De'Aaron being over there in San Antonio, playing alongside Wemby. We're seeing on a night-to-night basis now that Wemby is creeping closer and closer to that top 10 level player, and I really think that sooner than later, the Spurs are going to have to just go all in and be competitive and get Vic into the playoffs and just start the Wembanyama era, honestly. And I think a dynamic guard like De'Aaron Fox would definitely help this out. We've already seen what a guy like Chris Paul can do for Victor Wembanyama, and obviously Chris Paul is a great, but at this age of almost 40 years old, he's not the player he once was. So swapping him out for a guy like De'Aaron Fox at that starting guard spot, I mean, that's an all-star level talent. He will by far be the best player Wembanyama has ever played with in the NBA. And I think between his playmaking, his scoring gravity, they can have some crazy highlight plays every night. And with the way the Kings roster is constructed right now, I'm not 100% sure if they do trade De'Aaron Fox that they will blow it up entirely and trade Sabonis and get rid of DeMar. I don't know if they have that ability to do that, or if they'll try to just cling on to any type of hope for contention or playoff berth. So in this trade, it is like more geared towards win now players or a retool type of thing, because Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Zach Collins, none of these guys are super young. They're not super old either. I mean, Keldon and Trey Jones are both 25 years old. But the main sweetener in this deal is definitely the draft capital. They're getting a lot of draft capital from a bunch of different teams, including their own swap back from in 2031. I think that's one of the most important assets that they could get back. Owning your own draft capital when you are a rebuilding or tanking team is super, super important, obviously. So that's one thing the Spurs have that no other team could really offer the Kings. And if I'm being honest, this isn't even the best trade package that the Spurs can offer. They could easily swap out Keldon Johnson for Devin Vassell, and I think that's a better package, a more intriguing package for the Kings. They can maybe include a Stephon Castle in here, even though I personally would rather them not do that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do for a guy like De'Aaron Fox. And then also they have tons of more draft capital that they could sweeten up the package with. They have all of their own first-round picks. In the deep future, they have a Minnesota pick. They have a bunch of different Atlanta Hawks picks. They are loaded with draft capital, also a bunch of second-round picks. If I had to put my money on any team to trade for De'Aaron Fox, it probably would be the San Antonio Spurs. We still have one more mock trade though, and that is De'Aaron Fox being sent to the Orlando Magic in exchange for Jonathan Isaac, Cole Anthony, Jet Howard, a 2025 first-round pick from the Denver Nuggets, a 2026 first-round pick, 2028 first-round pick, 2025 second-round pick from Boston or Memphis, and a 2028 second-round pick from the Lakers or the Wizards. This is my sleeper team where, no one's really talking about De'Aaron to Orlando, but I do feel like it is a match made in heaven, honestly, for the Magic. I know right now they're going through a lot of injuries with Paolo, Franz, Mo Wagner just went down, but if you think about De'Aaron on this team fully healthy, I mean, they could be one of the best teams in the NBA, because it would be De'Aaron Fox, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paolo, Goga Bitadze. That's an elite starting five. A lot of size there, a lot of athleticism. They have their ISO scoring, playmaking, not really too much shooting, but still, all in all, very, very good to elite level starting five. And then off their bench, they still would have guys like Anthony Black or Tristan Da Silva, Wendell Carter Jr. This team has so much depth. They can make a trade like this, still have so much depth. The Magic are also an interesting team for this, because I could see Sacramento wanting to move De'Aaron out of the Western Conference. I don't know if they want to get burned by him for the next however many years he plays his career. You know, they might want to just ship him out east so they don't really have to play him. They don't really have to get those revenge games back on them. And the Magic, I think, are one of the only teams out east that would be a great fit for De'Aaron. And shout out to Jalen Suggs, because he's been having a very good year in Orlando, but they've never really had a true point guard. So having a guy like De'Aaron out there, I think, would be night and day for the offense. And then, like I mentioned, they already have the elite level defense. I mean, I don't know what you would do to really stop this team at that point, because even, you know, you have De'Aaron running their show, running the point guard spot, doing his thing like that. And then you also can have Paolo, who's getting you ISO buckets, Franz, who's spotting up on the corner, knocking down those threes, all while playing lockdown defense every night. What do you guys think, though? Which out of these trades do you think is the most likely? Which one do you want to have happen the most? And then also, is there a team that I didn't include on here that you think should go out and trade for De'Aaron Fox? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.